Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Thursday, the 14th of December, 2023. I'm Michael Thompson. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about, so let's jump into it. Story number 1, the unemployment rate hit a 17-month high of 3.9% as more people entered the workforce. It shows the labour market is definitely slowing, having peaked in the middle of the year. As a result of the ABS release and good news on interest rates from the US, which is actually story number 2, the S&P ASX 200 jumped 1.7% today to 7,373 points, a 5-month high. All 11 sub-indices of the ASX 200 ended higher today. Materials and telcos outperformed. Plenty of strong performers led by James Hardie, WiseTech Global, Goodman, Macquarie Group and Santos. They all ended more than 3% higher. In corporate news, Viva Energy jumped 4% after the ACCC said it would not oppose plans by the petrol retailer to acquire Peregrine Corporation's OTR group. Aurora dropped after the bottlemaker flagged earnings headwinds that could hurt the outlook for its recently purchased Saverglass business. Shares in Alumina Limited rose to an 8-week high after the WA government approved the company's 5-year bauxite mining plans in the state's Jarrah forests. And Virgin Australia will offer better pay and more time off for cabin crew after striking an agreement that heads off costly industrial action in the lead up to Christmas. The Transport Workers Union said the agreement with Virgin will deliver salary increases of between 14% and 18% over a 3-year period. No strikes for Christmas. That is good news for travellers. On to story number 2 now, and as I mentioned before, the US Federal Reserve has indicated that it could start cutting interest rates next year, and that helped Wall Street big time. A meeting of the Central Bank Board kept the official rate steady and gave a clear signal that the cycle of lifting rates is over. For the first time since May 2021, policymakers did not pencil in further rate rises. While Chair Jerome Powell said officials are preparing to hike again if price pressures return, he indicated policymakers are now kind of turning their focus to when to cut rates as inflation continues its descent toward their 2% goal. Quarterly projections showed Fed officials expect to lower rates by 75 basis points next year. That's a sharper pace of cuts than had been indicated in September. That sent bond yields lower and equities higher. Anything that happens to US interest rates or perceptions of future rates affects markets, and the Aussie dollar rallied nearly 2% on the news to be trading just under 67 US cents. Bitcoin also jumped to shift towards 43,000 US dollars a unit. Story number 3, Woolworths has finally got the okay from the competition regulator to buy Petstock a year after it made its initial bid. It feels like we've been talking about it for a very long time. Petstock is the second biggest player in the sector behind TPG Capital's Green Cross, and much of the delay came after the ACCC evaluated historic acquisitions made by Petstock that had not been on its radar. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission said that it will not oppose Woolworths' acquisition and has accepted a court-enforceable undertaking from Woolies to support Petstock's divestitures. ACCC Chairwoman Gina Cass-Gottlieb said that while the asset sales resolve the regulator's concerns in this transaction, dealing with competition issues in a historical way is not efficient or effective in keeping competition intact. Story number 4, plenty going on among the states at the moment. Victorian Energy Minister Lily D'Ambrosio has joined Treasurer Tim Pallas in hitting out at the federal government allocating just 1% of its $11 billion priority infrastructure spending to projects in the state. It's a little bit paltry and Victorians aren't happy. Also happening in state politics, we've got New South Wales Energy Minister Penny Sharp calling on households and businesses to cut electricity use as searing heat stretches the state's power grid close to breaking point. And finally, story number 5, Republicans in the US House have to formally authorize an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, escalating a probe that has been underway now for several months. The 221 to 212 party line vote sets up a high-profile clash between Congress and the White House as the 2024 election approaches. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump has urged GOP lawmakers to step up the impeachment inquiry against Biden. According to Bloomberg, the investigation has focused on Biden family finances and business dealings of the president's son Hunter and other relatives. The resolution establishes the investigation's procedures and powers, but doesn't set a deadline or lay out any specific impeachable offences. The White House and many congressional Democrats say the inquiry is merely an effort to distract attention from Trump's criminal trials. That's it for the afternoon report for Thursday, the 14th of December, 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Join us tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson. Enjoy your evening.